Why is it that certain places become haunted? Hey everyone, this is Clinton Manning and you're watching Tales by Firelight. When my grandfather was a teenager, he lived in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais, and they lived in a little farm outside the town of Gashupe. And what they would do is they would go to this town, the town that was nearby, to buy and purchase supplies. They would actually start their travels the night before, and that way they would make it to the town really early in the morning. So they would just ride on horseback all night long. And this was a very common thing to do, from what I've been told. People used to get on their horses and they would travel great distances all night long. It was a beautiful night. The sky was filled with stars. There was a nice bright moon, and they were having a good peaceful little trot. A peaceful trot. They were riding horses in the middle of the night. What can you say about that? So up ahead in the distance, they saw right, like as if it was in the center of the trail, they saw a light, and the light was kind of shimmering. And so they kept riding, approaching the light, and they were talking to each other. My grandpa said that he actually really liked these journeys he would take with his dad. It was just a time for them to be alone and to talk, kind of get to know each other. So they were walking, so they were riding on their horse towards this light. And the closer they got, they began to see things like the silhouette of a large, thick tree, big, thick trunk that was in front of the light. And then they saw what looked like people kind of walking around. Maybe some people were sitting. And the closer they got, the more they noticed. Like they began to hear whispering and voices. And my grandfather thought it was a little weird that there was a bunch of people under this tree, hanging out in the middle of the night. So they continued directly towards the light. And as they got closer, they saw that it wasn't in the middle of the road. It was on the side of the road near the tree. And the whispering became louder. And there was slight shrieks, and almost like the whispers all around them. And so as he continued to ride his horse towards this creepy, creepy sound and all these people under this tree, his dad told him, "Don't look. Keep your head down." And so he looked over at his father, and his dad was doing exactly what he was telling him to do. He was looking down at his horse, being silent. And so he did the same thing. So as he looked down, seeing the back of his horse and the saddle, there was like a glowing in his peripheral vision, and he began to feel really scared. And he could hear the hooves of the horses trot, 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 trot. And the light was coming closer, and the whispering was getting louder and louder, when all of a sudden he heard what sounded like a girl saying, "Help!" And my grandfather kind of panicked, and he didn't want to look, but he couldn't help himself, so he took a glance, and it looked like, because he was right next to it, it looked like there was a coffin that was open with light shining out of it, big thick foggy light, and people standing around it, and they were whispering, but it sounded like someone was inside the coffin shouting for help. So he made a quick decision, and he jumped off his horse, and he walked towards, maybe he ran towards the coffin. Meanwhile, his father heard him jump off, and in his terror, he looked to the left, only to see his son near the coffin, and it looked like people were trying to pull him into the coffin. Well, the horses started to freak out, so his dad jumped off his horse, ran to his son, and pulled him as hard as he could. And these other people, they were strong, but he pulled, and he's Brazilian and he's Catholic, so in his mind he's uttering a prayer, and he is able to yank his son away from the coffin. And my grandfather was petrified, probably in shock. And so my grandfather hurried back to the horses and kind of threw him on his horse and jumped on his own horse, and they got the heck out of there. Obviously, my great-grandfather had more common sense than my grandpa did. So the next day, when they got to the town, they asked around about what they had seen at night, near that large tree. And they were told that all the farmers and people that live on the outskirts of town, whenever there's a funeral, someone dies, they bring that coffin with the person all the way into the town to have their funeral in town. And on the way, they rest under that tree. And because of all the people that have brought their loved ones and rested under that tree, it is now a haunted place. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching Tales by Firelight. I hope you like this new video. I'll be making another one next week. If you like what you see, please follow me on Facebook, follow See First, or if you prefer YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next week, bye-bye.